Pete, I have something to tell you.
What are you telling me, Nick?
And it's something I haven't opened up about before with my family.
Oh, but I love how we keep finding new things about each other. It's great.
When I was really young, my mum was in the Amazon investigating spiders.
Wow. Here I was. I was like, so you've scared me and then you've gaslit me into thinking something. Fine.
She was investigating spiders in the Amazon, but then mysteriously she disappeared.
Are you okay?
Well, I think I'm not going to be as okay.
Oh, so they got Dakota Johnson to play you in the film.
I am Dakota Johnson in the film. I don't know how I feel about Sony making my my life story. No,
and being like, oh, you gender swapped it? Cool.
Yeah, cool, man. Like, hey, you're as a straight white dude. My stories aren't getting told enough. Welcome to the monthly movie marathon.
I mean, you've had like 2018 years for your stories to be told, so it's about time.
Remember, we had those AD stories as well.
Oh, those AD. And you know what? I'm like, Pete. Oh, Jesus, a man. Okay, leader, sure.
I can't wait till...
None of that would have made...
None of that's going to make sense. But you know what? That's this show. This show doesn't make sense, and that's why we love doing it. Monthly movie marathon, where we marathon movies monthly. Nick LaBarry here with Peter Gray, ASMR version.
Hi.
How are you going, Pete?
Good.
We're busy, hey? We're fucking busy at the moment.
Like we say we're busy
generally
all the time.
Yeah.
This year, and I'm saying this year, and it's like 2 months in, as
a
usual,
couple of days into Feb.
As usual, January felt endless.
Yes, it did.
And January has already been like ridiculously busy. Like we've been given many opportunities.
Yeah.
So we've been told about certain things.
Yes.
I had Sundance.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, that's right.
We both did Slam Dance.
Yep.
We've both had the Dry 2
Force of Nature, the Dry 2
interviews.
I feel like at this point we can just call it Force of Nature.
Force of Nature.
Sorry, Roadshow, but we can call it Force of Nature.
We've had interviews for a movie coming out in a few weeks called Baghead.
Yes.
You spoke to the director.
I did, Alberto Corrado.
I spoke to the actress, Freya Allen, who you'll know from The Witcher.
Yes. Both great interviews.
The Rooster.
Yeah,
new Australian film on the way.
Coming out in late February. Yep. I saw it at Biff. I don't know if you saw it.
I did not see it at Biff.
Yeah, no, we watched it again recently. Great interviews with that too.
And then, as we said, panelists.
Yes.
So
this is pretty exciting.
This is exciting. This is like a oh hey, like people like what we do.
I you know what? That's very true. Yeah.
I like to look at it that way.
I think that's fair.
So on the 11th of February, to all of our Australian
Queensland
Gold Coast people, the Actor Festival is taking place from Thursday the 8th to Sunday the 11th.
Yep. And there's heaps of shit happening.
Yeah, and a lot of it's free.
A lot of it is free, especially if you're an actor member. I think like all of it except the Actor Awards is free.
So there's a lot of screenings, a lot of panels. There's
workshops.
The Actor Awards workshops. There's like they've got, they've got the Philippine Brothers, Raka, the Talk to Me guys. They're doing talks.
Celeste Barber's going to be there.
Like Simon McCoy, who directed Mortal Kombat, is going to be there.
Yeah, he'll be talking about Mortal Kombat 2.
So a lot of shit is happening.
They're previewing Robbie Williams, they're showing a behind the scenes of Robbie Williams' new movie,
Better Man, a biopic about Robbie Williams,
he's playing himself,
starring Robbie Williams, which I think it's cool.
I like that. It
makes you think like, okay, obviously the story that they're telling is true enough that he's happy to do it.
Yeah,
like
which is cool
because obviously we see a few biopics that are like
Bohemian Rhapsody. Just shoot shots early.
Basically, yeah.
But we are both very lucky to be hosting
We are.
panels ourselves. We're going to be hosting them, which is kind of really fucking cool, to be honest. Yeah.
Hosting, moderating.
However
however
these things
it
work, we will find out on the day.
Yes.
But I am doing 2 panels, which I'm very excited to do. One with Bruce Hunt, who was the second unit director on The Matrix. And we're going to be talking about how The Matrix and its visual effects revolutionized cinema. That's a long one. That's an hour and a half panel. It's going to be long. And there's going to be a screening of The Matrix following that, which is very cool.
That's cool.
And then the second one is going to be with Guy Norris, who is the action director and stunt coordinator, a 40-year working relationship with George Miller on the Mad Max films. He did Mad Max Fury Road, which arguably is like one of the greatest action films of all time with its stunts and whatnot. And he's also worked on Furiosa. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but this is what I've heard, there might be some exclusive looks at Furiosa and some of the behind-the-scenes stunt work on that, which is pretty fucking cool. So I'm excited to do those. What about your panel, Pete? What are you talking about?
So the panel I'm doing is called One Life. Is predominant LGBTQIA performers, their online voices, how they've navigated their careers, their personas, their voices in the digital age.
Nice.
So there'll be 4 people: Grace Hyland, Ian Zaro, Christian Hull, and David Sabritsky, I believe is how
it's pronounced.
Pronounce it.
So I'll be well with being like it's not to sound like old, but like the digital age we live in. Like these guys are like hectic, forward content creators, right? Like
and so we're living in a world where content creator is our thing.
As we move into the world of vertical films. The Russo brothers still want to make it. So, but I think it's interesting. Like, it's going to be some fun panels, and there's obviously a whole weekend outside of just our panels as well. So
like it, and it's cool. Obviously, that the Gold Coast is getting
the hub
getting
for it now,
getting
right?
more things. Like
the actor awards are huge every year, and now it's on the Gold Coast. Like that's kind of cool for us. It's opened up a lot of opportunities.
So it'll be a big weekend.
Yes.
Possibly a little bit of a stressful weekend.
You know what?
We don't know.
We're used to We're
used to having a million different things at once.
And we're so grateful for this opportunity as well. But it's also like we're doing this on top of reviews, interviews. Like this is not something that stops everything else.
It's not like just we go,
the podcast.
like we've got a lot of things still
going on. Speaking of the podcast, 0 to 100 is doing very fucking well.
It's doing all right. Thank you. Thank you.
If there's crossover between our 2 shows, thank you.
Thank you. And it's been going very, very well.
It's a lot of fun.
We're having a lot of fun, even though the movies are.
But we knew that. We were starting literally at the bottom.
Yeah.
And the only way is up.
So there's, by the time this episode is out, 5 episodes will be out there in the world.
No, 6, because we started at 0% technically.
We did start at 0%. So I'm thinking 5% is the latest episode. 5% will be the 6
next
episodes.
One.
So
5%'s a doozy.
5%. I'll say it.
Yeah, sure.
It came out Swept Away.
Yes.
Madonna and Guy Ritchie's 2002 romantic comedy.
Nothing really romantic, nothing really comedic.
No.
To be honest with you.
It was a good chat. It was a good chat. But no, just thank you everybody for tuning in.
Yeah.
And seeing all the countries slowly roll in. It's like, oh wow.
It's pretty cool.
It's cool.
It's very cool. So,
some countries that you're just like, wow. All right. Cool.
We got that international reach, Pete.
Hey.
We got that international reach. International love. We are, as people would say, Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
But that's pretty much like a taste of what we've got going on at the moment. But we would never.
It's just the middle of February.
It's just the middle of February. I think it's going to be some cool shit happening this year. But for those who are tuning into this show, we will never forget you.
We haven't forgotten
We're not forgotten you because the monthly movie marathon continues. The show where we marathon movies monthly.
It's going to continue every month.
Every month. Actually, it's in the name, I believe.
Yeah. It always helps.
So, big release this month. It's June 2. The second biggest release this month.
Yeah.
Because of the release dates, like Australia gets, when I say Australia gets June 2 in February, We get it a day before the US.
We get it.
They're getting it the 1st of March.
We get it the end of February.
We get it at the end of February.
We can still say we're getting it at the end. We still get it in February.
We're getting it in February. We're getting it a whole month early. No.
But obviously we looked at June.
We did. There was a possibility.
But then we thought, okay, what do we watch in the lead up to that?
And we were like, June. And June.
And then we also went, look, they're great films.
One of them is.
But also,
I feel like it's not enough to do the discourse on it, right?
So it's like instead of choosing one great thing and one thing,
David Lynch thing.
How about we choose 3 things?
Yeah, let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun. And you know what's fun? The Marvel Universe in the Sony bracket, or the SUMSA.
The SUMSA, which is the Sony Universe of Marvel characters.
Oh, that's what it is.
The Sony Universe of Marvel characters.
SUMSA.
Which is its next iteration is coming out February 14th, Valentine's Day. Love.
On a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday here in Australia.
Yeah.
Madam Web.
Madame
Web. Dakota Johnson. Sydney Sweeney.
I mean,
Isabella Merced.
This cast is banging.
Huge
Adam
cast.
Scott. Emma Roberts, apparently.
Allegedly, yeah. Like, credited,
haven't seen her in anything, which makes you think I might know who she might play.
Do you think she is... Because Adam Scott is rumoured to play Ben Parker.
Which is Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben. Emma Roberts is Aunt May.
I think so. That's my...
Okay.
That is my prediction.
We'll run that back. When it comes... Because we're seeing it the day before release.
On the
Tuesday. So we'll run that back on the Tuesday night and be okay. I'm going to put it out there. I think she's playing Aunt May. I think that's fair to think.
Yeah.
I'm excited that just Adam Scott's in this movie.
Adam Scott.
I love Dakota Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
I love Sydney Sweeney.
I love Isabella Merced.
I do as well. Because
Dora the Explorer
was actually kind of fun.
So underrated.
Super fun.
But also, funnily, she is cast as Hawkgirl in the new Superman.
Is she? Okay. So, yeah.
So it's also like, all right, so you just jump and ship.
Maybe she knows something we don't know.
But have you also heard the story how
they got Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney? Like, is this what you were going to allude to? What they thought they were signing on for? Yeah. I know of it.
Because she left her management when the trailer released.
Wow.
But then other people have said that that's a very normal thing to do. That she had a movie, she had this movie, and then she had another movie at Sony, and it's
with
like
them,
and it seemed quite like a natural pivot.
Right. Okay.
Other people have said the trailer was released and Dakota Johnson dropped her management and moved to a different management, and everyone was like,
"Ooh.
Is it because
of
she was sold that this is a Marvel movie?"
Right.
Which technically it is.
Technically, it is. There's Marvel in Sony Universe.
But a lot of people, when they hear Marvel movie, think Disney.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
even when Disney,
Avengers,
Disney Marvel movies don't do well, Ant-Man 3, they still make money.
Absolutely. Yeah,
the Marvels, unfortunately, not.
Yes,
but that was under the assumption,
right? So that's interesting as well.
And they made this movie thinking it was
connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and because the MCU, the greater MCU.
And Dakota Johnson has said, I filmed this movie on a lot of green screens. She's like, I actually don't know if this looks good.
Yeah, of course.
Because she's used to being on sets.
Yeah.
So,
and you would say Sydney Sweeney the exact same as well?
And it's kind of like, this isn't adding up to give us a lot of hope.
No,
because this film's already a meme because of the Amazon line.
Yes, the trailer did not necessarily do a lot to excite audiences.
And outside
of holes in like where the story is set, it's allegedly set in the 90s.
2003.
2003? Okay, cool. So there we go, 2003. But even then, you kind of go, why does the villain have a Spider-Man looking suit if this is set in 2003 and we don't, in this Sony Universe of Marvel characters, Tom Holland's Spider-Man doesn't become Spider-Man until like 2017, 2018 or something. You know what I mean? So you kind of start thinking about these things. And it's not necessarily you going like, oh, the movie's going to be shit because of it. You kind of go, how much care was put into this? That's where my mind sits.
Like Sydney Sweeney apparently is Spider-Woman.
Yeah, I think that's, So,
but it's like, so
we had these superhero. I don't know. Who knows? We will find out. February 14th.
I haven't shit on this movie the way that the internet has.
No.
Because I'm like...
Neither of... not
you
haven't. But
haven't.
I'm just not... I can't say I'm like...
Excited for it.
No, yeah.
It's more of a case of like... I just love everybody who's involved in this movie.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I'm going to give it...
First time feature film director.
I'm going to try and go in not thinking it's going to be absolutely...
No, and I feel like you have to. You have to go in at least with an open mind because there could be surprising elements.
Like I didn't go into this movie in the same mind frame as I went into one of the other...
movies we're talking about.
One of the other ones.
Yeah, because...
over this side.
We will... let's talk about that because obviously...
That's why we're here.
We're here with Madame Web being in the Sony Universe of Marvel characters. Now, these are mine. I own these. I didn't borrow these from anyone.
He voluntarily used his own money to buy a steelbook of Morbius.
I am possibly the only person in the world who owns Morbius on Steelbook 4K. I have an addiction. I'm aware of it. It is crippling, both financially and emotionally. It's taken a toll on my relationship with Rhiannon.
Some of the movies that you buy on Steelbook, I'm like,
really? Elvis. I know people like Elvis, but I do not like Elvis. Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and Dominion are both on there. What else is on there that I'm just looking at? I've got the Meg and the Meg 2. Which isn't terrible, but
it could be better.
Could be better. Rampage, the Dwayne Johnson.
I love Rampage.
I love Rampage too, but
I'll defend that. I love Rampage.
I've got Godzilla versus Kong, Godzilla 2, King Kong Skull Island. I'll defend.
Kong Skull Island. I really
all
like.
3 Fantastic Beasts films.
The first one's good.
Third one's good.
Third one is actually good. Yeah, no. The third one's good as
first
well.
One,
Second one's not.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot of like amazing things, but I do also have a lot of amazing things.
Oh, yeah, you got hate,
but I do have hate. But this is the thing. Like I see it and I'm like I want and I buy, which has now led me to
I buy
the 3 films.
I watch. I don't like.
That's literally me. But like that led to us being
it's
like
an Ariana Grande song.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I like it. I want it.
There we go.
I got it.
I'm learning today. Yeah. I don't listen to. I don't know if this will shock anyone. I don't listen to Ariana Grande.
Whereas I'm like, oh my god, a new album's dropping. Slay.
This is where all roads have led. Stop gaying up.
Yeah, right. Oh, she's so fucking hot. Oh, she is though.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I have thoughts. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Ariana Grande's looks. But we were like, Sony Universe Marvel characters, technically Spider-Man is a Sony product. Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home.
It's just the only good movies that they've done.
However, there's enough discourse on the internet about those 3 films.
Yes.
They, I would say, sit more in the caliber of MCU rather than SUMC.
Yeah.
Which is funny to say out loud. So we decided, let's look at Sony's other characters in their let's look at their Sony universe of their Marvel characters, which includes Venom, which includes Morbius as characters in 3 films. Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and Morbius.
It's Morbin time.
It's Morbin time. The movie that has been morbed to death.
Yeah.
The movie that Sony re-released in theaters because they thought the memes about how much people did not like this film equated to popularity of people wanting to see it again.
And then it tanked the first time round, and then it really bombed.
And it tanked the second time. Yeah. So we're here discussing all 3 of these films. Now, I saw all 3 in cinemas. I'm assuming you saw all 3 in cinemas as well.
I did.
Was this your first time watching them again since the cinemas?
So, yes, for Carnage and Morbius.
Mm-hmm. Same with me. I've seen Venom.
So I watched
3 times.
So I saw Venom in the cinemas.
Yep.
I didn't have the greatest feelings towards it when I first saw it.
Fair. I don't think I did either.
In the lead up to Let There Be Carnage, I was like, I'm gonna rewatch Venom.
Yeah.
And
you still
I did a U and was like, hey, it's on 4K for like $20.
You may as well grab it.
I'll just buy it.
Yep.
I bought it. and I rewatched it before Let There Be Carnage, and I was like, I don't hate this movie as much as I did.
Okay.
Maybe because I was like,
You got Stockholm syndrome.
I didn't like it, so I went into it and I was like, it's kind of fun.
I would agree that the first time I watched Venom, same thing. Walked out of the cinema and went, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, I was like, oh.
And then watching it again, I'm like, oh, okay, no, I see. There's a bit more appeal. And then this time watching it, I was like, okay, this is actually pretty fun. It's not necessarily a great movie, but there is one big reason it works, and it's because of how far or how hard Tom Hardy leans into the insanity of it.
Yeah.
So I think that's Venom in a nutshell. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. We both did not like the first time. I remember we were at this press screening for this.
Press screening.
And we walked out to our beautiful Sony rep, and we were just like, ugh. And because Venom Let There Be Carnage was riddled with COVID delays, in Australia especially.
Yeah.
It was supposed to come out 2020, obviously for reasons did not. It came out 2021, but then Australia didn't get it till October 2021, whereas I think August or September was the US release date.
Oh, okay.
So we got it 2 months later.
Right, okay.
And all the reviews had already come out being like,
good.
It's not great. Like, it might be better than the first one. And we're like, oh, okay. So we went into the screening, watched it. We were both like,
not better than the first.
Okay. But then obviously rewatched it again for this podcast and we'll talk about it. But I enjoyed it a lot more the second time. Pete, not so much. Morbius. Morbin time, baby. Making a more $1 billion. We saw this movie.
I did not go to the press screening.
You did not go to the press screening for
had
this?
something
You
on.
had something on.
So,
Okay.
Karen, lovely Karen at the Sony rep, she gave me a free.
Oh, so you saw it the next day?
So I saw it the next night because I was
Okay.
like, I need to see this opening night somehow.
Yes.
So I went for free. Thank God.
I mean, hey, that's the best part of that.
And then
I actually remember I had double featured Morbius that day because I had seen The Northman early for the Northman interviews that I did.
You did.
So I saw The Northman in the afternoon and I was riding on a high. I loved The Northman. I was like, fuck, Robert Eggers, who's so good. And you know what? I walked out going, I love movies because they're like movies. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go in with an open mind to Morbius.
Jared Leto, that man doesn't make any bad career choices.
Directed by Daniel Espinosa, who directed Life with
Right.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh my God.
Gyllenhaal and
Life?
Ryan Reynolds. Super underrated.
So underrated.
It is such a good
Ryan Reynolds, Jake
alien
Gyllenhaal,
film.
Rebecca Ferguson. Fucking banger of a movie.
A confined sci-fi horror. Like,
so
it's
good.
really
it's
fun.
so good.
And so same director, Daniel Espinosa.
And he
for
also
Morbius.
directed Safe House.
He did direct. Safe House is fucking cool, man.
Denzel Washington, Ryan Reynolds. Great
It's
little
fucking cool.
great little action movie.
So I've gone into Morbius and I'm like, you know what? It's going to be mean to death, sure. And you know what? Initially watching Morbius, I was like, this is nowhere near as bad as people are going to expect it to be. But then I walked out and went, wait a second. That was bad. It was. I don't think it's like a 1-star movie, but I walked out going like, yeah, there's something wrong here. And I couldn't put my finger on it initially. And then I'm driving home. I was like, oh, that just wasn't a full movie. That was a movie where like not a lot really actually happened.
No.
So I was kind of bored shitless. Yeah. Also, why Jared Leto? So that's like the general feeling around Sony's universe of Marvel characters, right? So let's go to the beginning. Let's take it to the start with Venom, or as Rhiannon likes to call it, she does the Eminem. She'll go Venom, 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 Venom. Whenever I was talking the last week about watching Venom, she would just start going Venom, 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 Venom. Obviously, shout out to Eminem for that great end credits track. 2018, Venom currently on Rotten Tomatoes, critics score of 30%.
Yeah.
Audience score 80%.
Yeah.
People love this movie.
Let's not forget, this movie made like $800 million.
It made a lot of money. Tom Hardy, Michelle Williams, Riz Ahmed, Ruben Fleischer directing, who we were just talking about before recording, about another movie he did that wasn't so great. A failed reporter, Tom Hardy, he plays Eddie Brock, is bonded to an alien entity, one of many symbiotes who have invaded Earth, but the being takes a liking to Earth and decides to protect it. You've spoiled the whole movie there.
Yeah.
You've spoiled the entire film in your synopsis there, Mr. IMDb or Sony, whoever you are out there. $100 million estimated budget, made $856 million worldwide. That's huge. That's a very successful movie.
That's huge for a movie that was not like looking to do well.
No, but it just came, and it was.
Like
I do remember
80
it was the
like
movie that could.
Yeah, $80 million opening weekend.
Right there we go.
So you just like
you kind of go,
wow,
that's massive.
That's massive.
I think
you've made back almost all of your budget.
There was also this kind of I do remember the intrigue of being like, is this connected to the MCU?
Yeah.
And no one really knew before it came out.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So I feel like there was so much hype to be like, we're going to see Spider-Man and it's like Tom Holland's going to pop up in this, like Sony, as if they wouldn't do it. You don't see Spider-Man at all.
No, not at all.
In fact, I don't think he's mentioned at any point.
I don't think he is
until
either.
the sequel.
Yeah.
Where Sony were actually confident, I guess,
to
after
kind of
and they,
link it
I mean,
in.
they had 856 million reasons to be confident to do that as well. But I think the biggest thing that I remember leading up to this was, why the fuck is Tom Hardy doing a Venom movie?
Yeah.
And I did read up that it was his son's a huge comic book fan.
Right.
Loves the character.
A lot of actors do movies for their kids.
Want to make the movie for their kids.
It's the reason Tommy Lee Jones did Batman Forever.
But think about this now. How invested Tom Hardy is into the Venom trilogy, because we are getting a Venom 3 this year.
Yeah.
It's currently filming at the moment. Tom Hardy, not just stars and produced Venom, has a story credit on Venom Let There Be Carnage and Venom 3.
Right.
So he's invested enough into this character and into this trilogy to be like, I'm going to be behind the scenes creatively with it as well. Not something I would expect from Tom Hardy.
No.
Esteemed actor Tom Hardy.
I think we sort of go, Tom Hardy, really, he's like character actor, like, you know.
Even with Bane, you're kind of like, oh, you're doing like some Heath Ledger immersion.
And then
shit
here,
right?
like, I think then people go, but Mad Max Fury Road. I was like, yeah, he was like all on that one. But then you look at all the he was in Rock.
He was Rock and Roller. He's got things like the Bike Riders this year. Bronson,
Locke.
Yeah, all these real character drama sort of things, right?
Legend. The
Cray brother, the Cray twins movie.
But then we also forget this was the guy that starred in This Means War with Chris Pine and Reese Witherspoon. So everyone's got to start somewhere.
Actor's got a mortgage, I guess.
I think the person that surprised me the most about being in this, Michelle Williams.
Michelle Williams, yeah, like who does seem like she's having fun. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like in this movie, she looks like she's having more fun in the sequel.
Which is funny because she's not actually in the sequel as much.
But I feel like in this one, it was almost like, this was like, oh, she needed that paycheck. Because you're like, you can only do so many like Oscar movies that don't get you a lot of money.
Maestro.
We're like, this is like, what, 5? I think, how many Oscars has she been nominated for? Like 5
That's a great question. I'll have a quick look. But like, I love her. I love Michelle Williams.
This is like a very established...
I went past it. Nominated for 5 Oscars. Yeah.
This is a very established actress. And I don't think we were expecting to see her in a movie like Venom.
No.
Like, yes, a lot of talent. Yes, a lot of like Oscar nominated talent go into MCU films.
Yeah.
But this is not the MCU.
This
is a very different, it's not a role that I would expect an actress of her caliber this late into her career to take on.
Yeah, okay.
Like to me, it seems like a
financially strategic decision.
I'd almost think like Dakota Johnson in 2018.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, she had like the 50 show. Like I could imagine her doing something like this.
But then she's in things like A Bigger Splash. She starts
like
doing
she
these
wants.
more
She was
roles,
like, I chose to do a financially successful trilogy of films,
set for life
even though
the
she's
50
like,
Shades
I know that
movies.
these films are not good.
Yeah.
She can do all of her little like
her
Bigger
and Jamie
Splash.
Dornan are okay for life after those 3 movies.
They're fantastic actors.
Oh, I love them both. And they're fantastic. Their press tours together were brilliant. Like they were both so aware of what movie caliber of film they were making. Yeah, totally.
There was a really great SNL sketch for when Dakota Johnson was doing 50 Shades and she was like acting as herself in a press tour. Yeah. And they had like a child asking her the questions.
Oh, I do remember this. Yeah.
And she was like, how are you allowed to see this film? And he like then was giving her like these like, oh, what's your favorite like ice cream flavor? And she's like, oh, and then he like asked her like this like question about, and how do you feel about sexual masochism? And she's like, oh my God, like it was
That's
like,
so
it plays into what they were aware of. It was just very surprising to see her in this.
Yeah. Okay. No, fair enough.
I don't
What about
think...
Riz Ahmed, who again to me strikes like this to me seems like a money thing for him.
It does.
Not saying he's bad in the film, but like I love Riz Ahmed.
Yeah,
Sound of Metal was my favorite
Sound
movie
of
of
Metal,
2020.
yeah.
I think that movie's I think he's brilliant in that. But like this to me as well, and his performance in it is more reflective of a guy who's like, I don't actually really want to be here.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting from it anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What?
Oh my God.
This guy was Austin
Hayes.
Butler.
I thought that was Ryan Quanten.
Oh shit! No, Ryan Quanten.
He is not in
in
this
Venom.
movie.
Not in Venom. But the story of Venom 2, for me, I was like, it's such a bare bones structure of a story here.
Venom 2.
No, the first
Venom.
one. I love the opening scene. I think there's a lot of intent. Like there's a spaceship or rocket, I guess, with humans in it crashing down to Earth, and we get to see the symbiote, and we see the symbiote infect someone, and it kind of was like I was like, "Fuck, this is a cool way to open the film. Is it going to hold this tone throughout?" Yeah. Then I had to try and believe that Tom Hardy was a hard hitting journalist, and I was like, okay, sure. It's not that I don't think Tom Hardy couldn't be a good journalist, but for a guy who. But like this, you can't understand, have a word. Say, hey, why are you chemical plant killing people? And I was like, what? Sorry? I was like, sorry, once more, Mr. Hardy. I had a tough time believing Tom Hardy as a believable journalist.
And the fact
in
that
this
it's
film.
and it's the fact that like
With a very successful TV show,
That's
which
it.
he points out a lot.
yeah, I think it's the fact that the way that he acts and talks to people.
Yeah.
Like actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we see that people act badly and like it doesn't seem to really like I'm just looking at like someone like Kyle and Jackie O.
Right.
The amount of stories that you read about Kyle storming out of the studio, not showing up to work, pissing someone off, and yet they make millions of dollars a year. They're the highest paid radio
ever.
So now I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe he would have a successful show.
Maybe because he presses people.
But I'm also
He's
like,
good at pressing people.
You go, are you a television personality
Or
are you a journalist?
journalist.
You're not a journalist.
I would agree.
An attitude like that as a journalist wouldn't, eventually people would go, we're not talking to you.
No,
as a TV personality, if you've got a whole network behind you,
Yep.
probably I can understand that.
Which makes it even funnier then because when
We've just gone super deep on like, no, he wouldn't be that.
he's not a real journalist. Which makes it even funnier because then
he makes money.
When Riz Ahmed's character of remembering Carlton Drake, who is a classic.
I'm sorry, Carlton Drake sounds like a soap opera, like you know,
So
like
Carlton Drake's not a good name.
Like Carlton Drake.
He's back. He's been dead for 20 years, but he's back. Who is like the only villain we've seen in like the last 10 years of the tech bro, billionaire, scientist trying to find a cure for something, but also on the side is like, I have a weapon. It's like the only structure of a bad guy we've ever had in any sort of film. In the last, like, 10 years.
Right. When you can say like I thought you were like, it's the first time we're seeing it in 10 years. I'm like, what movies have you been watching?
I don't watch any films. If I hadn't watched a single film, I'd be like, this is such an original take on the bad guy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not. And then also Riz Ahmed's performance does not really go well with that. But it then strikes me as weird as to like, why the fuck would you invite Eddie Brock to come promote whatever this cure thing you're doing?
Who has a reputation already.
Yeah.
And you're like, maybe don't.
And who has access to information because his partner, Michelle Williams,
And
has documents that will fucking bring your whole thing down. So you're going to hire this investigative journalist who is very close to very privileged information and documents that will bring down your company to come do an expose on you.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when he's like, what about Destiny doing? And then he's like, the interview's over. It's over. And then it's like, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing for the first 20 minutes of this movie? It makes no sense.
He's like, it's over. I don't want to talk to any of you guys.
Yeah, it's just all impressions, all roads lead to Sylvester Stallone. But then, of course, I don't blame Anne for leaving Eddie at this point because she's like, you fucked me over. Like, I've lost my job.
Yeah.
We were engaged. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
I don't blame her for leaving.
No, I don't at all. And also,
great work.
Also, it moves on to Reed Scott, and that's a handsome dude.
And that's, you know what, it's not a trade down. That's for sure.
Not at all.
It's not even really a lateral move at this point.
I was like,
good for you.
If you had Tom Hardy and Reed Scott, I'd be like, put your hands together. But no,
threesome.
But yeah, Reed Scott, I'm like, yeah, I get it.
It's not a bad move.
He's stable.
It's not a bad move.
Yeah.
This is where I feel like at least the worst parts of Venom sort of end. Apart from the actual opening scene, the first like 20 minutes of Venom is just boring.
Right.
I don't care about investigative journalist Eddie Brock. I don't care about what evil plan Riz Ahmed's character's doing. I don't care that they Anne and Eddie split up. But
soulless, Nick, soulless.
I don't give a shit. But once Eddie is ingested the symbiote, because he gets an opportunity to break into the lab by Jenny Slate.
Jenny Slate. I love Jenny Slate.
I love Jenny Slate.
She doesn't get to do much in this film.
No.
But if you watch Marcel the Shell with shoes on.
Oh, I fucking love that movie.
Her vocal work and that is great. And also, literally, just
one of the best parts of Parks and Recreation as well.
So good. But also YouTube interviews of her on like any late night talk show.
Yeah,
her stories are chaotic and she is so just naturally endearingly funny. And it's a shame that she doesn't get much to do in this film. And then yeah.
And in fairness, that's not her fault. Like the character she plays doesn't really land.
The character and like a lot of that character, as soon as she's introduced, you're like, you're probably gonna die.
No, and
she does.
She does. But it gives an opportunity for Eddie to break into the lab and he gets infected by the symbiote.
Yeah.
And that's where the movie then actually becomes kind of fun for me. Because we get to see Venom, the symbiote Venom and Eddie Brock at odds with each other, like, you know, at first.
Like an odd couple.
An odd couple sort of thing, but way more scary and violent.
And also a little bit homoerotic.
Yes, which is explored very much so in the second
sequel,
film.
Yeah.
But I think the thing I love about it the most is how fucking dedicated Tom Hardy's physical comedic performance is that. Because for the next hour of the film is just always sweaty. Because his body is obviously reacting to the fact that there is like a symbiotic parasite in him. Which Venom does not like being called a parasite.
No, he does not.
Which is also Venom, the voice is voiced by Tom Hardy as well. Which is cool. Yeah. I found out he recorded all the lines for Venom, then wore an earpiece. So that's why the conversations work
so natural
because they work so well together. Like I do like that. So he was responding to himself.
Tom Hardy's favorite co-star is
himself.
That checks out.
But the physicality, the comedic physicality of the performance, and the way he gets thrown around by Venom, Tom Hardy's just like facial intensity.
Yeah,
it looks like he's about to have an aneurysm at every single point of the last hour of this film. But that's the most fun I had with this. And I think the funniest scene, which I think everyone thinks is probably the funniest scene, is the restaurant scene.
Oh, absolutely.
Where he's freaking out about, he's like, I got something inside of me. And then he like jumps.
I got something inside of me. I need you to get it out of me.
Watch, it's in my ass. And
his name is Venom.
Did my house just, what the fuck was that? I heard something. I thought the house shaking. Anyway, I was like, earthquake in Brisbane. But then like he jumps into the fucking fish tank at this like bougie restaurant. Eats the lobster live because we find out Venom obviously wants to eat human brains, wants to eat all these heads. And Eddie's like, that's bad. You can't do that.
That's bad.
That's bad. You can't do that, Venom. You can't eat people's heads. I think Tom Hardy's had like 7 different fucking accents. From my performance of him. And the other funny bit I love. None of them sound like Tom Hardy. The other comedic thing I love is Mrs. Chen.
Mrs. Chen.
She's got some real icon energy in this film. Just like a gives no shit, banterous little Asian lady who runs a supermarket. Yeah. And she's fantastic in the film. She's just giving shit to Eddie all the time.
If this was in the MCU, Mrs. Chen, it feels like the kind of character that Disney Plus would give a whole show to.
6-part limited series.
And like just like and then like superheroes like just like come into the store.
But obviously because in the second film, she gets infected with the symbiote. Yeah. That would be the series as well. So you're like, what did those few hours look like for Mrs. Chen? That's the movie.
I mean, hey,
we should write that. Sony, give us a call.
I mean, that would be a good show.
And I think like things like Mrs. Chen, things like the rest of the screen is just so chaotic that it's fun.
Yeah.
And
like you almost don't have time to sort of like think. Yeah.
But then on the other side of that is like the action scenes. And there's some pretty fun, inventive stuff that Ruben Fleischer does. And I feel like the two main action scenes, which is the motorbike chase, has some pretty cool shit. Like the fact that the Venom symbiote is like using itself to like do unbelievable motorcycle stunts.
Yeah.
And then the initial house invasion scene, right?
Yeah.
Where the special forces guys come up to his apartment.
And he's like, he realizes how like
Venom's just like, let me take over.
What he can do.
Yeah. Venom's just like, let me have some fun. And then goes from there. So there's like elements of this film I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I feel like most of those add up to a reasonable, I liked this movie whole.
Yeah.
It's still not a great movie.
It's not great.
The story sucks.
I believe I completely on board with 30% and 80%.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fair. Yeah. Because I feel like averaging that out, I'd be sitting at like a. I think I gave it 3 out of 5.
I gave it a 2.5.
Which makes sense, right? But then we get to the ending, right?
Yeah.
Also, okay. while we're going on to the ending, there is a point where the symbiote gets, because of like frequencies that are lethal to the symbiote.
Yeah.
Eddie and Venom separate. But part of the symbiote goes into a dog. And then later on, Michelle Williams gets the symbiote.
Yeah.
After she looks at the dog. How did she get it from the dog? Because we see Michelle Williams and Tom Hardy kiss to transfer the Venom symbiote to each other. How did Anne get the symbiote from the dog?
Let's just say maybe she saw the dog. She leaned down and it licked her, and it just licked her.
I hope so.
Let's just go with that.
I hope so.
Because let's not think about anything more.
I really hope so. Yeah. Also,
or it might have just like that thing, because like me having a dog, I know a lot of time when they do that. And they just do that like one cough.
Yeah. And it just comes out, right? Yeah.
So maybe that happens.
I don't have any dogs, unfortunately, because I can't have any in this part, but I know a lot of dogs. Yeah. I love dogs. I let them lick all over my... I'm happy to... Yeah. I love dogs.
But you can let them lick... You can let them lick all over your face, but also in the situation she was in, you'd be like, are you also just stopping to pat a dog?
Well, because...
That's the thing, because I was like, it's a very... Like, she's running away... And like,
there's a lot going on.
Like
right?
for her to like look at it, like it's a cool shot.
You see the eyes as well. You'd be like,
it's a cool shot in theory for her to see the dog look at her, and then to be like, what happens? And then for her to be, but yeah, absolutely. As you said, you got to think about it and be like,
hold up a second.
Is it weird for her to stop in this thing?
And I think as well, specifically showing us that Michelle Williams, Tom Hardy kissed to transfer, it just made me go, what happened with the dog? Also, speaking of Disney Plus series, we should just get Venom dog.
Right.
Imagine a 6-part Venom dog series. That'd be fucking cool. But I just have more questions.
I feel like maybe what would have been good is if you saw the dog, then maybe like growling, like getting aggressive to her, her like backing up.
Yeah.
And then maybe it jumping on her, and you get a shot of her on the ground and its mouth
it's just
open,
like licking
and it's
her.
but like that thing where it's like it's like the saliva is dripping off into it.
Yes,
that would have been that would have been cool.
That could have been cool.
Because then you would have gone, okay.
Just so my morbid curiosity doesn't keep leaning to the fact that did Anne make out with a dog?
Oh my God. Morbid curiosity.
Morbius curiosity. That's where my head's at. I'm a sick fuck. I get it, but I just was thinking about it for like the whole last half an hour.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I can actually
I was
see
sick
you
of that. I lit some candles. I closed the windows. I did not. Don't worry, Pete. I did not do that. But that leads to the final climax because...
climax.
Get it? Because Carlton Drake gets infected by the symbiote as well, and we get basically a Venom versus Venom fight. But it's not Venom. It's like the leader symbiote. He's like... And Venom's like, that guy's a dick, and like shit.
Yeah.
And there's some cool moments. Like the one thing I do hate about this final fight scene is that it's so dark. It's like one of those things you can't see much going on.
And it kind of feels like it ends like...
It just ends.
It's you're like, oh, okay.
It just ends. It's a very... And that's one thing I do not like about these three movies. They end so quickly.
Yes,
Like
they do.
The climaxes, the big finales of this film.
We've been programmed for like when there's an action movie, you're like
Your last 20
you could be like
minutes.
this. Say a movie goes for an hour and a half. You'd be like, I don't care for an hour. Nothing happens.
And then
if you give me half an hour at the end of just batshit insanity, I'm like, I'm here for it because you walk out going, fucking great action sequence at the end. Here, you get great little peppered things throughout.
Absolutely.
But you're like, if you're giving me that throughout,
yeah.
I'm going to get something really fucking good at the end. And then Venom's just like, haha, psych. And like, you just
end credits.
And you just get this fight sequence that you're like, okay.
That's dark. That's obviously a lot of CGI. And there's one shot that I really like, and it's when the Venom symbiotes come off Tom Hardy and Riz Ahmed, and they're fighting, but the symbiotes are fighting. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's 3 seconds long. Like in a 10-minute scene.
That's a trailer money shot, right?
That is the money shot for that. But obviously, Carlton Drake gets defeated. The symbiote gets and then it's the choice of like, does Venom go back to his planet? And Tom Hardy's like, you just go back and bring all these other symbiotes back. It's like, you're going to invade our planet. And Venom's like, I actually like Earth now. I want to stay here. So they decide to stay symbiotic together, which is nice. It's lovely. It's like, where the love story really begins. It's a love story
between Eddie Brock and Venom.
That's where it really begins. Yeah. And then one of the things, and this has always come up on the podcast, I love a 90-minute movie. Yeah. I'm a fan of the 90-minute movie. This movie's actually credited at an hour 52.
Okay. The
credits rolled at 92 minutes. So I went, is there 20 minutes of credits in this? Yeah. I press, it's 92 minutes when the credits start rolling.
Fuck.
Yes, we get a mid-credit scene with Woody fucking Harrelson.
Yeah.
How good. I remember that excited me.
That definitely brought like, ooh, Woody Harrelson. I like Woody Harrelson.
We also, I didn't even mention this before the credits roll, we get the iconic turd in the wind line.
Oh, that's right.
That was all over the trailers, which is one of the most dumb insults I've ever heard.
That's a very like,
it's a PG.
That's a PG-13 insult.
But then, we get that. But the reason that the movie is so elongated, and I forgot this initially, and I remember seeing it in cinemas, we actually get a 10-minute clip from Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh,
that's the post-credit scene. Is that and because there was so much hype going into that?
That's right. Yeah.
So it's not really an hour 50 minutes. This is a 90-minute
movie with half an hour
credits and post-credit scenes. So, but I did like Venom more this
time around.
Third or fourth time around. Yeah. It sat well with me a bit more. I enjoyed it. Get through that first half hour, not bad.
Yeah.
Big reason, Tom Hardy. That's probably why.
Yeah.
But then we have the sequel, and as we alluded to before, it is very much. It was a COVID movie. Release dates affected. They did finish filming before COVID started.
Yeah, I remember this being one of those ones where it felt like this is never going to get released. It felt like it was just.
I had no idea what was going on. It was this in Top Gun Maverick,
and then it just was like
really like that,
and then it just dropped.
And June. So, and it's funny that we're getting
Morbius, kind of.
And Morbius as well, yeah, for sure. Yeah, Morbius got really shafted
Morbius had
release date-wise.
had like 9 release dates.
That was funny, yeah. So this cursed Sony universe of Marvel characters. But Venom Let There Be Carnage, right, comes out in, I believe, 2021, as I did say, yes.
Yes, it did.
Critic score, 57%.
That shocks
significantly higher.
That shocks me.
Audience score, 84, so a little bit higher then. Directed this time by Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis.
Who, if you do not know Andy Serkis but know the name, is the motion capture king. Played Gollum in the 3 Lord of the Rings films. Played Caesar in the new trilogy, the recent trilogy of Planet of the Apes.
He played King Kong in Peter Jackson's King Kong.
He is already in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Black Panther and Civil War.
Yes, he is.
I can't remember what his character's name is, but he's like a South African arms dealer. Or something in that. So he's definitely been around Marvel before. Now, he was slated to direct because obviously, not obviously because I'm about to tell you, Sony wanted production to be in England, so they wanted to hire a UK UK director to oversee the production. Andy Serkis was picked because of that. And I will say this. Andy Serkis has directed a few movies before that haven't necessarily excited me. He did Mowgli.
Oh yeah,
Netflix.
Oh, and he did.
He did
The Eddie, was it any Redmayne movie?
Andrew Garfield movie.
Andrew Garfield.
Breed.
I did not like that movie.
No, neither did I. So there was not just. I was more intrigued to be like, okay, what has Andy got going on this time? And I will say this. This to me is probably his most exciting, dynamic movie visually. I actually think this is a better looking film in some ways than the first Venom. However, it lends to the atmosphere and the tone of this film, which is corny, which is campy, which is homoerotic. It does feel cheaper.
Yeah, it does.
This does feel like much cheaper of a sequel.
I am very shocked that it's 27% higher. Because I was,
not a fan.
No,
$110 million budget estimated.
Only $10 million.
$10 more. $10 million. $10 more. Made $506 million at the box office,
which is that's massive for
COVID,
COVID
post-COVID box office, right?
$90 million opening weekend.
So it had a bigger opening weekend than the first one, right?
Yeah.
So very interesting. But yeah, this to me, I definitely think the first Venom's a better movie. I think I had probably a little bit more fun overall with this one, but I don't think for the right reasons. It does look cheap. Mm-hmm. Despite there are some cool scenes, there are some cool visual moments, but the overall like aesthetic does feel like cheap.
You can say it.
But fuck me, there are some bad things in this film, i.e. the opening scene.
Oh, God.
And the fact that they have this terrible voiceover, this terrible dub. It's a younger... So Woody Harrelson's character, Cletus Cassidy, is a serial killer.
It just reminds me of Cletus from The Simpsons.
It does actually.
Yeah.
He's a serial killer, right?
Yeah.
And he's in when he's younger, he's in like a home.
It's like X-Men.
It genuinely is like X-Men.
X-Men. Or New Mutants.
But why is he in there? Because he doesn't have any powers.
No, he's not a serial killer yet. He's just a kid.
No, he's just a kid. So why is he in there? And his next door neighbor is a woman he loves, and they talk to each other. But every time this guy talks, they've dubbed Woody Harrelson's voice, and they haven't dubbed it well.
No.
And I'm supposed to expect that this like 17-year-old kid has the voice of like 50-year-old Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
And because it's such a distinguishable, noticeable voice, you kind of go,
yeah, that doesn't work.
this doesn't match up.
You're like, you don't sound the same as a kid as you do as an adult.
So that's terrible. Then she gets taken away because she's dangerous.
Shriek is
her monster name, I guess, where they refer to her.
Yeah. Because she can scream
at incredibly high decibels, which is, for me at least, is like, that's interesting because when we then know that Cletus Cassidy becomes Carnage when he gets a symbiote in him.
But I was also like...
Which, by the way, is not for a long time into this movie.
I'm also just going to say Birds of Prey did that better.
Was Shriek in Birds of Prey?
With Black Canary.
Oh, right. Okay,
has the same kind of ability.
Power. Okay.
And I was like, did it much better. That's just because Birds of Prey is a fucking better movie.
I need to watch that again. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Right, yeah. I was like, I need to rewatch that.
And then in the sense of she gets taken away and Cletus is like, no, you're taking my baby. You're taking my girl.
Don't take my baby.
Give her back. And she's in a car. Then she uses her shrieking power that flips the car. Then she gets shot by the police officer in the car. But she gives... And I don't like shitting on bit part actors who like obviously are just trying to get themselves noticed.
Yeah.
But this could be one of the worst line deliveries of all time when she says, "Any last words?" It was terrible.
Also, Naomi Harris. I like you, Naomi Harris.
I like Naomi Harris. This wasn't Naomi Harris's first bit, by the way, but
Naomi,
it doesn't get better.
Naomi Harris is fucking awful in this
She's
movie.
bad. She's real bad in this one because there's this like
I get that
it's the Cara Delevingne school of like I'm enchantress.
But it's also like it's like that thing where people go, okay, when you're in a comic book movie and you play the villain, there is kind of that license to be like, do I go over the top?
Yeah.
Do I go campy? Is there ever such a thing as like a having a bad performance
Yes,
in these
right.
in these kind of movies because of their, and you just go, yeah, there is. Because you look at like, because honestly, you look at like 90% of performances in comic book movies, and they're all really fucking good.
Yep.
So like a performance like this, it stands out. Even in a movie like this, where I don't think this is a good movie.
No.
Tom Hardy, like he is committing.
Oh, Tom Hardy doubles the fuck down in this film.
He
on
commits.
his commitment.
Woody Harrelson
is having fun.
He's having fun.
I will say Woody Harrelson.
It doesn't mean it's a good performance, but he's having fun.
I wouldn't say he's doing anything necessarily,
No.
except just being like a lively Woody Harrelson.
But it's like in a movie like this, where you kind of like, so you can be a little bit like, you can be campy. You can
kind of fuck around.
But I was like,
sure.
That to me, I was like, that kind of shows you how bad the performance is when I'm like, in a movie like this, you watch her and just go, you are so like,
I agree.
You haven't, I don't know, maybe, and I was like, Andy Serkis, did you want to like reel her in a little bit or something? Like,
how much control did you have?
Like, she's really bad in this.
She is. And that first scene is not a good indicator.
No, and obviously the first scene's not her. Like it's a different actress, it's a child actress, but it's
her power is to do that. Why not just cover her mouth?
Hannibal Lecter that shit and put her in a
anyway.
That would make too much sense.
So then we come back to the present day, and Eddie Brock is interviewing Cletus Cassidy. He's getting this exclusive from Cletus Cassidy about, because he's a serial killer where the bodies have never been found.
I'm just gonna say Woody Harrelson's hair in this is so bad.
Oh, it's terrible, but I love it.
So bad.
Oh, I love it.
It's like some Sideshow Bob shit.
It's genuinely Sideshow Bob, but there was part of it that was like, I'm glad they went this committed with it.
Yeah. I also feel like Woody Harrelson was like, I'm not doing this role unless I get this hair. Oh, it seems like something he would say.
It seems like the sort of movie where you could make those demands and be like, I want to do this, I want to try this. It's why how Naomi Harris's character got that bad. But Eddie Brock's he's trying to get this expose out of Cletus Cassidy. Cletus Cassidy has this like sort of fondness for Eddie, wants to tell him these things and stuff.
Do you think he would still have a job?
Eddie Brock?
Ooh.
No, surely not. But I think they talk about that,
I feel like Venom would just ruin everything.
Well, it does, apparently, because he's literally like a schizophrenic. He is. And the thing is, Eddie has to talk out loud to Venom, but no one else can hear Venom.
Yeah. So he just seems like a crazy person.
We'll just say this. Venom is way funnier right off the bat in this film. Like, he's a man of the world now. He's a symbiote of the world.
It doesn't necessarily make it like a good movie that Venom is better in this, but it makes it for like, if you have to sit through this,
it's far more entertaining.
And
Venom as a character is the best part of this film.
Let's just talk about it. Venom goes to a nightclub.
Well, they separate, right? They break up. Literally, they have a break up. I was like,
and if you ever want to know more about this being some kind of like metaphor for exploring your sexuality, you have Venom in his full big Jack Zaddy black form,
because he goes into someone else when they sever from each other after they don't have breakup sex, they have a breakup fight, like they literally beat the shit out of each other, and then he goes into someone else and like starts going, he goes for a night on the town, basically, he goes for a night on the town,
and then he's in a nightclub, and he's got like glow sticks. And he's dancing.
Oh, he's absolutely in a gay club.
Yeah, like, and it's just it's just quite funny that they're like not even trying to like be kind of like subtle about it. It's just like and he says like a line about like I'm out of the closet now or something.
I'm out of the Eddie closet.
I'm out of the Eddie, and you just go, all right, well, fuck.
But it's so funny because he's like you're all a bunch of freaks. Just like me. Yeah. It's like he loves it. He's found his people, so to say.
And also, like...
But the whole premise of it is that Eddie has held him back for so long that he finally is now free to find himself.
I mean,
like,
it would be...
It is not on the nose. It's fully on the nose, sorry. Yeah, it's like,
I'm like, seeing something that looks like Venom, you'd probably be like, this is weird.
But they're like, this costume's great.
But also,
they're all
if you think it's a costume... You'd also be like, the guy underneath it, you'd look at it and just go, you're jacked. And I'd be like, I'm into it.
You're like, is that Momoa?
I'm like, hey.
Is Momoa out of Eddie's closet now?
Like, infect me.
But that's the thing, like that's the best part of the film, because like the whole lead up to at least that moment is that like Venom just wants to eat some brains. Yeah. He's hungry. He wants to eat brains. So Eddie's like, we can't kill humans. Here's some chickens. He names 2 chickens, Sonny and Cher. So he can't eat the 2 chickens named Sonny and Cher. But then Venom's like, what if we just eat bad guys? And then Eddie's like, no, you can't do it. So it's like, there's this like control.
But I do like that Venom's like, all right, we'll just do that to the bad people. I'm like, they've made, I was like, that's
a compromise,
like,
right?
But that's what superheroes are.
Exactly,
they
right?
Kill the bad people.
They're supposed to anyway.
So what Venom's doing for a movie that's supposedly about a villain, he's doing the right thing.
He is. He absolutely, because he's an anti-hero. Venom is now an anti-hero.
Yeah,
I guess
all that,
is the way to put it.
Yeah.
So before we get to that though,
yes,
another character is introduced.
Yes.
Stephen Graham.
Yes.
Is in this film as the detective who was trying to work the Cletus Cassidy case, who's been trying to crack it for decades.
He kind of looks like he's walked off the Saw set.
He does have a bit of Donnie Wahlberg about him. Now, I fucking love Stephen Graham.
Yeah.
Anything he is in, I will watch because I think he is a great performance. If you have not seen, I can't fucking remember what the show's called.
Oh, is it the
one where he plays the alcoholic? Have you seen? It's a British show and he plays an alcoholic, and it is one of the most devastatingly convincing performances I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
But he's also great. He pops up in things like Rocket Man. He's great in any sort of like Guy Ritchie film.
Did he do? It could be something. Did he do a movie where he was like a chef?
Boiling Point.
Boiling Point.
And it's all one shot.
Yes.
That's Stephen Graham we know and love.
Yeah.
The intensity.
Yeah.
He definitely tries to bring that intensity to this film. And it doesn't necessarily work. It doesn't match that tone.
It seems to be a thing where you just go, this actor's usually good.
Yes.
Put them in a Sumpster movie and...
and not so much.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean he's necessarily bad, but he's just trying to do something different.
He's in a different movie.
He's in a different movie. Yeah. It's also revealed later on that he was the police officer that shot Shriek. That's because he has a hearing aid.
That's right, yes.
So he is the police officer that was obviously made deaf by the Shriek and then shot her, which I thought was a decent way to connect those two storylines. Right?
To bring him in and be like, oh, you've got some kind of connection here.
And that's why there's 2 movies happening. It's Eddie working with Stephen Graham's the detective and Cletus to try and find out where all these bodies are.
Yeah.
And then there is this...
And that's a cool, like, outside of a
Venom
superhero movie,
it's
be like detectives and a journalist teaming up to find dead bodies for a serial killer who's holding the information. I was like, that's
not a terrible movie, right?
I mean, it's kind of the little things.
It's actually very much the little things, right? Yeah, another Jared Leto masterpiece.
Yeah.
I actually didn't hate that movie.
I didn't hate that movie as much as everybody else did either.
But then, there's that storyline. Then there's the Venom wanting to try and like experience, like find himself, I guess.
Yeah.
And then there is the love story between Cletus and Shriek, because Cletus is trying to get out of prison and Shriek's being held in this like facility that we don't know much about, by the way.
And also that love story, that could have been exercised.
It could have gone. It absolutely could have gone. Like Shriek does not need to be in the film.
She's not
all.
And she's not compelling. Like, be different. If Naomi Harris gave like a good performance, then maybe you'd be like, all right, I'm a little bit invested.
But you're not.
But she's not in it enough.
And I'm not a comic book guy, so I don't know much about the backstory of it. But like, I don't care about this facility she's in.
No.
I'm not told enough about the facility that she's in for me to care about it. Like, it is definitely, for a movie that is only, by the way, the credits rolled at 84 minutes on this one. You could have erased another like 5-10 minutes of this movie easily.
Or you go, all right, we're going to make this maybe like
we'll flesh out the
2-hour movie and we'll flesh out this. But also, if this was 2 hours, I'd be like, oh,
no, I definitely didn't need it to be 2 hours long. So there's like 3 different storylines happening, and only 2 of them are like properly fleshed out. But basically, Venom sees all this stuff in Cletus's cell, all these drawings and stuff that ends up leading to the discovery of the bodies. Stephen Graham is like, fuck you, Eddie. Like, I was supposed to find this.
Yeah.
He's just upset because he's jaded because he's been doing it for like 2 decades, trying to find these bodies and shit. And then Cletus is mad because now he's back on death row. Like, he was kind of trying to hope to use Eddie to like get out of
leverage it,
and then be like, be able to meet his missus.
Yeah.
Shriek. So Cletus is, by the way, 40 to 50 minutes of the movie is already passed by the time we get to this point.
And then you like, there's only like half an hour.
There's literally only half an hour left where Eddie goes to visit Cletus because Cletus invites him to his execution.
As you do.
I feel like that's a Cletus thing to do. Like, I'm kind of like, if there's a character who's going to do it, it's Cletus. It's Woody Harrelson and his red hair and his red wig. And
it's so bad.
the foreshadowing's there of like, make sure Eddie's not told this in any of the other scenes where he sees Cletus like, make sure you keep 2 feet away from the prisoner at all times. Of course, Venom gets like worked up and angry, attacks Cletus. Cletus bites Eddie's hand, gets a symbiote in him, but then it's like a bloodied symbiote and he like eats it. And I was like, ugh. But like, I was like, okay, cool. That's something a serial killer would do.
So that means he doesn't get infected by Venom.
No.
He gets infected by something else.
Yes.
And it's like a red character, which goes off of the blood thing.
Which is cool.
And he's
the aesthetic of it is very cool.
Like, you can call me Carnage. And then you're like, oh, there's the title.
Well, because he says it, the horror is like, let there be Carnage.
Yeah.
His breakout of the prison is fucking cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like, it's a cool action scene. Again, the only like thing I don't like about it is that because it's all smoke bombed up, you can't see everything. But he's ruthless out there. Like, he's like driving down the street. He steals a car. He's driving down the street, and then he's just throwing vans off the bridge and shit. He's just like, I don't give a fuck. He's also a serial killer. So
it's like, it makes sense.
Then we get, that's at that point in the movie is when we get Venom in the club and him sort of, finding himself. He rocks back up and to Mrs. Chen's store.
We get the return of Mrs. Chen, which is great.
We love Mrs. Chen.
And
she rocks up earlier in the film and she's aware of Venom and stuff.
But she gets
But it's great because he's in someone who's obviously been drinking at the club and they're like vomiting on the ground and stuff. It's a very fun. I thought it was a very funny scene.
We've also got to talk about the fact that Michelle Williams is back.
She does pop up in this film
and
at some point.
And I feel like, to me, I feel like she wasn't entirely sure what the first movie was.
Totally, yeah.
I feel like she's like, I'm like, I understand what this is.
Sure,
it's another paycheck, but I'm gonna have fun.
Gonna try and have some fun.
And she gets to be Venom in a bigger capacity here.
Yes,
so she voluntarily
takes the symbiote
because the symbiote is in Mrs. Chen,
which is
they have a great little back and forth. Yeah, and she's like basically get in me now.
New fiance's behind her being like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. And then she turns into like sexy Venom.
Yeah, again, if you're a fan of Brett Goldstein's podcast, Films to be Buried With, he does a category there, like what's a movie? It's called Troubling Boners, Worrying White-Ons.
Right,
a movie you found arousing you shouldn't.
Yeah.
There's something about female Venom that I'm like,
right.
I'm like, you got body. Anyway, enough about my perversions. Michelle Williams gets back to Eddie and is like, Venom's inside me. You guys need to Venom is in me. You guys need to team up again to take down Carnage. And there's reluctancy on both their parts.
You guys need to team up to take him out.
Yeah, you guys need to take him on together, and I'm gonna watch. So they reluctantly combine forces again. Eddie and Venom team up, and it's it's fun. But there's a moment where Cletus breaks into he knocks out like a convenience store worker and jumps on his computer. He's like, let's look at these internets. And then the symbiote can like hack in, and it's the worst like hacking screen of like newspaper articles like fading into the camera.
Never fucking happens.
It never happens. But can we turn these into USBs now?
Yeah,
how is the data transferring?
I think it was very much one of those, just like, it looks cool.
We need information.
So let's just do this instead of like, it would have made more sense for Venom to be like walking past the store and just going like, and then grabbing like a thing of USB. Like,
right, it would have made much more sense.
And it would be and it would be in character at least.
At least, but
no, we'll be like, so then you just go, what else can your fingers do?
Well, that comes up in Venom 3. No, but yeah, it's one of those things where I was like, I don't know how this works. Yeah. But then there's the final showdown between Venom and Carnage and Eddie and Cletus, and it's at a church. So obviously we got bells ringing, we got Shriek shouting, the frequencies are fucking with the symbiotes.
The bells are ringing, the shrieks are shouting.
It's a new Christmas carol I came up with.
5 golden rings.
It's a decent fight. Like, it's fine.
It's not great. I don't think it's good.
Okay, I was just sitting there going, all right.
It's the fact that they're getting married is just
that's right. At the church, that's right.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's definitely
like
something
in the middle of everything that's happening.
Yeah, you decide
to like, hijack.
I guess he's been in prison for 30
but like you
fucking
can
years.
a few extra minutes isn't going to kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like your plan is to kill everything. Like if they went through with their plan, they would have killed
You guys
everything
wouldn't be
instead
in
of
this situation,
instead of
right?
standing there being like, "Let's get married." No,
You wouldn't be in this
And
situation.
when the bell came down and Crush Shriek couldn't have been happier.
That was your highlight of the film.
Oh, because
can
I was
imagine
like,
it was your
well,
highlight
you
of the
know
film.
what? I can hear the bells. Well, they can fucking hear you.
Yeah.
Done.
And again, she's useless in the fight.
Yeah, like you don't do anything.
The fiance, Anne's fiance, has more to do in the fight.
He
than
decides
anything.
to step up.
The one thing I do like, and it's like the whole like redeeming moment for Eddie and Venom, is that the thing that Cletus struggles with is that Carnage has a plan of his own. And Cletus and Carnage are not
they're not
working well
they're
together.
Not as
whereas
simpatico.
they're not as, is that the word?
I'm just
A
going
word?
off. It's I think so. Oh, I know it's from Bad Teacher.
I have not seen that movie in a long time. Probably since it came out, actually.
Right?
So
Cool.
might pop up on the podcast one day. Cameron Diaz movies.
Possibly.
So in the sense, then like I'm like, I liked that Eddie and Carnage and Venom were like, look, we work well
like
together.
we work well together.
They don't. We have something special. Let's do it. And
Their
then
relationship is toxic. We got this.
We love each other, and
Yeah.
then they fucking team up, and that's how they destroy
Yeah.
Carnage in the end.
Yeah.
And then but then it's one of those things where it's like Eddie has to go on the run now. Everyone knows Venom is dangerous.
Yeah.
They're not going to be happy with this. You have to go. So he
Yeah.
goes to Mexico or something.
As you do.
As you do.
Whenever you need to escape, go to Mexico.
Him and Venom are on a beach together. It's lovely. It's cute. It's sweet. We stan them.
It's
84 minutes.
boom.
That's all you need.
And
That's all you fucking
then
need.
we get a little mid credit scene. And
Mid-credit
this
scene.
was the mid credit this was the mid
This was the one.
This was the mid credit. Oh my god! This was the
Mid-credit
mid.
scene?
This is the
That's all
mid
right. One more
credit
time.
sequence.
One more time.
That got everybody just excited.
People were losing their
People were
fucking
like,
shit.
"Oh, like what's going to happen?"
Because at this point, No Way Home hadn't come out yet.
hadn't been out.
But we were aware
That
that
the world.
that villains were coming into Spider-Man's universe. So we saw the trailer. So Venom's in a hotel room. Eddie's in a hotel room, and Venom says, "Oh, let me show you a little bit of like what my mind is like. Like we
Yeah.
can connect." And as he tries to do it, shit goes on outside. The TV changes, and then all of a sudden they're like, "We're in somewhere else. We don't know where we are." Jonah J. Jameson pops up on the TV.
That
J.K.
got
Simmons.
a big
I remember it was a
big
huge
reaction.
And
Because
he's talking about
by this time, Far From Home had come out, so we knew. Oh my god, we knew
Those movies made us dumb.
we knew the ending of that film was where Peter Parker was exposed to Spider-Man.
Yep.
So we get this sequence where they're in Mexico. They go. He tries to show him. He gets sort of transported to this room.
Well, to the Spider-Man universe.
Spider-Man
with
universe.
Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Yeah.
wakes up, sees the television of
Jonah J. Jameson.
going, Peter Parker
Jameson.
is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then being
And
like,
then Venom's like, "Oh, I want to fight this guy for
yeah.
some reason."
And then
that's it.
and then that has never been.
Well, no, it's completely reversed then again
Yeah.
in No Way Home, because
Yeah.
then we see the mid-credit scenes, Eddie Brock, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, oh that's fucking cool, oh my god." And then it just takes him straight back home, because at the end of No Way Home, we know that the portal is closed. All the villains go back. So it's annoying. That's
Because he
frustrating.
basically was like, "Oh, we're going to do this thing where no one remembers who Peter Parker is."
Yes, which works for that movie. Annoying for this.
Because it's like you've just undone anything that's potentially cool.
any sort of setup.
Yeah.
So that's Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Obviously, more praised than the first, less critically less financially successful.
What did you rate it?
I gave it a 3, but it's like more bordering a 2.5.
Yeah,
like
I
it's
gave it-
lesser than the first.
I gave it 2.
That's fair, and that's fair.
I just
totally get that.
didn't respond.
I clicked with it more this
I
second
didn't
time.
respond.
But then that's leading to Venom 3, which is coming out this year, which has Tom Hardy has basically said this is the final film, like this is our trilogy, until Sony will give you a more $1 billion to come back and fight
It'll be
Spider-Man.
very
or some
interesting
shit.
to see how Venom performs, because outside
Yes.
of everything else,
Yes.
because we know that
We know there's one MCU movie this year with Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
And there's 3 Sony universe ones. We've got Madam Web, Venom 3, and Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah.
All coming out this year. So,
And we know that at least Kraven the Hunter's going for that R rating.
yes, it's going to
which
be
will
violent.
which could at least be something.
Do you know what else could have used an R rating?
This next movie?
Morbius. Morbius 2022. Biochemist Michael Morbius tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease, but he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. Now, you may be thinking, wow, vampirism, infecting yourself, is this just Jared Leto's autobiography? It's not. It's a Sony Universe Marvel character film that came out in 2022, sitting on a critic score of 15%.
Facts.
Audience score 71.
What is wrong with all of you?
Now-
I thought you all hated this movie.
Now,
None of you showed up for it.
I am aware of the critic and audience gap when it comes to things. I get it.
I get it.
This is not the movie of the hill we should die on for it.
This is 71 is so beyond general. Like
Because nothing
it
happens in Morbius.
almost feels like people have just gone, hey, wouldn't it be fun instead of like review bombing it in a bad way? Let's review bomb it in a good way.
And that's maybe actually what happened. Like that, it seems like this movie is more meme.
Like, are you
than
just trying
movie.
to continually give Sony hope for a sequel?
Like I remember when someone put up the critic score initially of it, and they were like critics 100%, audience 100%.
Yeah.
And then they put the Wikipedia thing of like how much money it made, and it's just like one and about 14 zeros behind.
Yeah.
It's a meme. This movie was such a meme coming out. We got It's Morbin time. There's the more $1 billion, and it all kind of stemmed from the fact that the trailer was not great, but we also had to see the trailer for basically 18 months because the release date kept getting pushed back.
So this movie was originally scheduled for like July 2020.
Yes.
And then that was before a little thing called the pandemic happened.
COVID.
So then obviously the pandemic happened, and for a while there it kept its release date.
Yep.
And then they went, oh, no, we've got to push it. And it continually just got pushed back. It got pushed back to like 2021.
Yep.
Got pushed back like about 4 times in 2021. Like it,
And the whole point is, like,
continually got this.
They were initially going to release it before Venom,
Yeah.
but they were like, oh, actually, we might like wait until after Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
Which was 2021 as well, was it? Or was that 2022?
No Way Home.
I can't remember.
2020.
No, it was 2021. It was
2021.
2021.
Yeah.
So, and they were kind of like, oh, we might push it to be like, let's capitalize on some of this. Like,
Yeah.
it was fucked.
They
I
can-
think as well, they just knew they had a shit
Yeah.
movie.
But they continually pushed it back. And I think it had like 9 release dates. And then eventually it was like May.
It was supposed to be May.
May.
But I think it ended up coming out in April. I believe it was April.
So I got April. Yeah, that's right. It was coming out in May, and then like a few weeks before it was coming
like,
out,
"We're
they
pulling
pushed
it
it
up."
up to April, and everyone was like,
Because they had confidence. But it was a meme. It was memes
Yeah.
to fucking oblivion
Yeah.
because we had so long to sit with this terrible trailer.
And I also, we saw the trailer like,
Jared Leto taking it so seriously.
yeah,
And I just think as well, like there was no confidence behind this thing.
No.
Rightfully so, because this is not a good movie. This is a bad movie.
this is-
it's so bad that I bought the 4K steelbook of it.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at how amazing that is. The structure of the first 15 minutes of this movie is all over the place. Don't introduce me with such just like a dumb cold open of a whole bunch of bats running around this Michael Morbius who I don't believe would have that haircut. I don't think that's a Michael Morbius decision. I think that's a Jared Leto just being like, I don't want to cut my hair.
the long hair.
The long hair. There's nothing about it that me screams like biochemist.
No.
Nothing about Jared Leto's performance or character that screams biochemist. But he like cuts his hand and he's like, oh, look, I've got this rare blood disease. Blah. But then we cut back to like 25 years beforehand, in which, again, I hate shitting on like kid actors, but they are not good. in this film.
Also, I noticed this time
Yes.
round, because this is the only second time I've seen
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I obviously didn't see it in the cinema. I saw it in the cinemas, didn't
Yes.
notice it. Their scene when Michael Morbius meets Lucian Milo.
Which is bullying, by
Yeah,
the way.
yeah.
It's just straight up bullying.
Like my name's not that, but I'm going to call you
I'm
that.
going to call you Milo, just like I called every other sick kid in here Milo before you.
Before they died.
Michael Morbius is a bully.
So there's like these 2 little kids.
yes.
And they're talking, and one of them sits. So I think it's Morbius. He sits down, and he's wearing like not a suit, but he's wearing like a dress shirt.
Yeah,
for a
okay.
little kid,
Yeah.
and he's talking to him, and then midway through the conversation,
Yeah.
it cuts back to Morbius, and the kid is in bed wearing wearing pajamas. Mid-conversation.
That's gold.
It's it's like they filmed that. So it's like they filmed that scene twice and just mashed it together. And maybe they went. If we shoot from like here,
they won't notice.
We won't notice. And I watched it and went,
"There's something wrong here."
And I rewound it and was like, "Yep."
Oh my god!
So I was that is the care that has gone into this movie.
It's bad. Like it's
bad,
especially the first act is just fucking terrible. And
like it would have been better to be like, just give us don't give us the kids.
Yep.
But I mean, at the same time, we kind of needed to kind of see the relationship between Morbius and grown-up Lucian.
Yeah, played by Matt Smith.
Matt Smith, who is the only good thing about this movie.
He's the only good thing, but he's
aware that he's in a shit movie.
And he just fucking goes, I don't care.
He's
like, I'm just gonna do what I want.
Yeah, but
we will talk about that scene though.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that scene.
But it's almost like, okay, either give us background information through exposition if you have to, or give us maybe like 10 minutes of the kids.
Yeah.
And start that as the movie, and then go.
Don't start
in present day. Yeah. Go back, and then continually just
it's fucking
like I get having a few because it's like, but I just think establish their relationship as kids.
Yeah.
Then move forward.
You can have that as flashbacks throughout the movie.
Yeah, that's fine. But like, it was just so jarring to be like, because it immediately starts you off like, oh, so he's already gone through trying to find things, and now he's on this island. So it's like, it feels like you're dumped in the middle of a movie that's already had like 40 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And this is the thing. I think this movie was a longer thing. And I think it was shot as a harder rating.
Yeah.
And then it just got cut to shit.
Yeah, I think it's a victim of the editing room.
Very disjointed, convoluted film.
I agree.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. And it does not work.
That doesn't speak to the caliber of talent across this film. Because nobody in this film is good.
No. Daniel Esposito is not a bad director.
He's not a bad director. Jared Leto is not a bad actor.
No.
I know a lot of people don't like him. And you can like him as a person. But I was like, he is not a bad actor.
No.
Matt Smith is not a bad actor. Tyrese is fine.
When he's given, you know what? He's his most grounded in this film.
I can only really go off of the Fast movies and Baby Boy. He's really good in Baby Boy.
Yeah, fair.
And he's grounded in this, but he also has fuck all to do.
He does nothing.
He is a victim of
that edit. Yeah, agreed.
I don't know how to pronounce
does not need to be in the film.
I don't know how to pronounce her name. Oh God, it's not Isa Gonzalez. It looks like her, but it's not. Adriana Arjona.
Oh yeah, no, she was good in this film as well.
She's in Bloodshot, I think.
Oh, she is too. Yeah.
Another
Sony film.
Another non-starter. But she is not bad. She's not a bad actress, and she's not bad in this. But again, she gets there's no reason for her to be in this movie.
Agreed. I think you're right. I think it was a longer movie, cut to shit, and we just get tiny remnants of everything.
Yeah.
And none of it makes sense, and none of it is good.
And then the thing that they decided to reshoot and pump in doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't fucking make sense.
We'll talk about later.
One of the things, just before we wrap up on the beginning.
No, you can wrap up on the ending because it's pretty much the beginning.
We've said what we need to say.
This movie is like what, 7? How long is this movie? Like
93 minutes is when credits roll.
Jesus Christ!
And even still, I was like, they were stretching to like fill that.
Yeah, because nothing happens in this movie.
So Lucian, as a kid, just fucking mid conversation, just does this. and then it's like, fuck, this like machine from the 1980s in Greece needs to be fixed. And what happens is, I feel like Morbius as a kid opens up the machine, takes a pen, takes out the battery.
Oh God, yeah.
Flips the battery around, puts it back in, and it's working.
Yeah.
He like did what we all do with our TV remotes.
Yeah.
To save a kid's life.
Yeah.
Make it more complex.
Jared Harris.
Jared Harris, who I love.
Not a bad actor.
Bad in this movie.
Bad in this movie.
But again, I think he and Matt Smith both were like, we are in a bad movie.
Yeah.
Jared Leto, not so much.
Jared Leto thinks this is my Iron Man moment. This is my Dark Knight moment.
It's not. Because Jared Leto goes between very sincerely performing. Then we get scenes where he's like, oh, a bunch of thugs in my lab. Oh, you wonder what you're all doing in here. I am Venom. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Michael Morbius.
Yeah.
There is like two. He's playing like three different people in this.
Because you know what Jared Leto knows?
What does he know?
He knows the difference between chocolates and shit.
It's been a while since that popped up. Jared Leto's doing too much in this movie.
Too much and yet not enough.
Not enough. And I think the story is probably the not enough thing that's hindering him. But there is three different versions of Michael Morbius we see throughout this film.
Yeah.
And it's fucking crazy. The one thing I will give props to is that even though it's toned down and I wish it was R-rated, there are some cool elements of the action. I like Morbius's power, that the way he can teleport between people. I think some of the slow motion is like the CGI not so great, but the slow motion when they're in the train tunnel, going down those train things and it's moving around.
Actually,
there are cool. There's
cool.
Potential.
We don't need it in every other scene to be like
it's a bit Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Sure. The worst one is when they're in the tunnel. The train's coming past and Michael Morbius he's like, oh, there's a wind tunnel here. But we have to watch like 4 really awkward shots of Matt Smith running in slow motion. And you know it's him running in slow motion because it doesn't look CGI. So it's a very awkward human hybrid run.
Yeah.
You know that he's just there with dots on his face for the fucking the CGI of that character, which doesn't look good. And it's very awkward to observe and watch.
It makes you realize how ridiculous it would be to be in one of these films because you're like, you wouldn't necessarily have a lot of physical sets.
No.
And you'd be put in weird things to and then you'd be like, literally you'd be like, dance, monkey, dance. And you'd be like,
well,
all right, let's
just talk about dance. The scene. Matt Smith's scene because obviously as Lucian, he's also got a rare disease that's hindered his physicality.
And he tricks, he basically tricks
into
giving it to him.
And he gets the synthetic blood.
He consumes synthetic blood.
He turns into a fucking ripped cunt.
I mean,
he's
on that guy. I don't think it was Jared Leto's body initially. I think it's I think it's his head CGI'd onto
another body.
I will say when you see Jared Leto all skeletal and then he turns into a vampire and then he stands there and I was like his little tits bent. I was just like Jared, I was like, for a guy that's in his 50s, I'm like, you are
he's a good looking
you're a good looking specimen.
He's done well for himself. I mean, as a vampire, he's just drinking the blood of youth, probably.
He really is.
And then there's Morbius.
So Matt Smith drinks it. He becomes more, flexible.
He gets a bit of pizzazz.
All of a sudden, he's just like, so have you been like a queer person in a straight body this entire time? And now that you've got strength, you're able to just hey,
the dance.
It's very Sam Rockwell.
It's Sam Rockwell without the fun, the self-awareness. I think there's a little bit of stuff.
It's more self-awareness of I'm aware that I'm in a big piece of shit.
Yeah, totally. Rather than Sam Rockwell actually just enjoying what he's doing.
I love dancing. I want to dance in every single movie I can.
He gets to dance. Yeah. But it's one of those things where I felt awkward watching it.
I'm the same, yeah.
So he's there and he's doing this dance move where he's shimmying the shoulder.
And it's because
he's he's looking at something.
It's like he leans back and he's
he leans back too far.
And it's as if almost an invisible limbo stick.
He's showing the V muscle going down to his cock and he's just fucking come on. And he starts doing push-ups and shit. He's I'm hot shit, baby. Yeah. The song is fucking great for this as well.
Yeah.
It's obviously this Spanish rap.
But it's also funny because you're just look, no offense to Matt Smith, but he's not he's not the most handsome person.
He's unconventionally
so it's funny to see him.
I get it. Yeah.
So it's funny to see him be I'm purely sexy because of my body.
I'm hot shit. Yeah.
And you're just not necessarily.
They double down on that because during his moments of I'm sexy and I know it, he transforms his face into the vampire multiple times.
Yeah.
And he's just prawn sexy.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's a great scene. He's dancing, he's buttoning up his shirt and he's young fuck tonight.
Oh, actually, it's very in Sam Rock. It's fucking Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3.
There is a bit of Tobey Maguire in
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3 about it, because then he goes to like a club and he's got this fucking swagger and he's like talking to chicks and stuff, and it's just like, there's something here I
And
don't
this is where
believe.
we're like, wait, is this where your character in Last Night in Soho ended up?
Oh, that's exactly what because as soon as I saw that scene, I was like, oh, I love I'm going to watch Last Night in Soho again.
Yeah.
I love that movie. So yeah, there's definitely that to me validates the meme of the movie. Like
Yeah.
that is, I'm like, if you're going to meme a bit, that's the bit.
Yeah.
Jared Leto is being too sincere
That's
in
it,
this film
Jared-
to meme
yeah,
it. Like
yeah,
he
yeah.
genuinely thinks he's in the next big superhero
Yeah.
film, and he's not.
And he like obviously treated this with like a lot
Yeah.
of like as much respect as you can.
Oh, for sure.
For a film that's
For
like
sure.
doesn't know what it wants to do.
No, it's and it leads to them fighting, obviously, because then Jared Leto's like, why the fuck did you drink my blood stuff? And then Matt Smith's like, well, fuck you, I wanted to not be disabled anymore. And it's like,
Like really, that's fair.
enough.
Like I'm like, you guys don't have to fight each other.
No, exactly. So, and they do, and it's over real quick.
And it's literally just like punching.
They just punch each other in this slow motion thing.
In this giant like this. Oh, I don't even know where it is.
It's like a abandoned warehouse thing.
But I was just like, oh, so you're just punching each other, just throwing each other to the side.
Yeah.
So, and then it's like,
Yeah.
and then it's done.
Literally, like once the fight's over, and then because they're underground, they create like a hole in the ground. All these bats come up, they fly with Morbius. End credits.
I remember.
And I was
so-
like, wait,
I remember seeing
what?
this in the cinemas. So I remember going into. I'm pretty sure you had like, because you went to the preview screen.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we would have.
We would have spoken
and
briefly
you
about
would
it,
have
yeah.
been like, ugh.
This is shit. Yeah.
I went in to see it, and I remember like sitting there, and it got to them, and by the time they're fighting, you're already like, this is not a good movie. But I remember them fighting, and in my mind thinking, this
is like the end of the second act,
like,
right?
This feels like you're treating it like a climactic battle, but surely it can't be.
I was the same. I thought this was going to be like the end of the second act,
yeah.
and then they're going to go away. Somehow Lucian becomes more powerful.
Yeah, yeah.
We get a bit more fucking reasoning as to why he's
and
gonna
be like
evil.
he'll team up with Tyrese because Tyrese hasn't done anything in this, and yet Tyrese feels like he should be.
Do you know how good of a cop Tyrese is in this film? He had to get reminded by his partner that he could probably just check the CCTV. When he sees the
my
sign
God.
and he's like, CCTV, he's like, CCTV. I'm like, that's the first thing a cop should think of. I was like, is there any cameras here we can fucking see
Yeah.
this? Again, not Tyrese's fault,
but
but
like-
that's bad scripting. That's I just
But
want to get
yeah,
that
like,
off my chest.
like they fight, and
But
you
they
just
could have teamed up.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And you sort of think team up, bring the Martine back into it somehow because she's dying.
She's dying and needs something to do.
So you sort of think maybe okay, bring
the scene where she's attacked is actually I like.
Yeah,
There's-
yeah.
There is some like
the
scenes
scene on the boat where he's like just slitting everybody's
the
throats.
horror elements of
if
it
that
are
was an
cool.
R-rated scene,
would be fucking
that
cool.
would be really cool.
Would be great. And there's like attempts at jump scares because he's like a vampire, but like there are moments, especially like when Martine gets attacked by Lucy, and you kind of go, this could be good in like a horror sense.
film. Yeah,
sure.
yeah. But yeah, like it seems like they fight, and you'd be like, yeah, let's bring Tyrese into it. They can team up, put aside their differences,
Yep.
have Morbius then really lean into being the anti-hero.
Yes.
And then bring Martine into it. Maybe even Martine gets some strength, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like there was so much, and then they fight, and then it just ends, and you just go,
Yeah.
what the actual fuck was that?
And then it literally just ends.
So it ends, and then we get 2 end credit sequences.
yes, which are both terrible.
Which are terrible purely because they have nothing to do with this movie.
This movie at all? No.
They were purely made off the success of the Spider-Man movies.
No way. Yeah.
And the idea that the Sinister Six was always something that they wanted to
It was
make.
always something that was kind of in the background,
So
right?
Sinister Six has been mentioned for years.
Oh, Sinister Six was like Tobey Maguire era
like Topher,
too.
Topher Grace
Topher
as
Grace
Venom.
was supposed to be part of that.
Remember that?
Remember, yeah, fuck.
But yeah,
and then when
Sinister
Amazing
Six-
Spider-Man, the whole second movie was predicated on the fact that a Sinister Six is
We were
coming.
going to get like
We got Rhino, we got Electro, we saw
we had
Vulture,
Jamie,
stuff
like
in
we
there.
had Jamie Foxx, we had Paul Giamatti.
They teased the
They were
suits
teasing
in the
it.
back, yeah.
And then it was like, okay, we had Spider-Man, we had Michael Keaton. And Michael Keaton is great in Spider-Man Homecoming.
He is a perfect villain
So I
in
was
that
like,
film.
and you'd be like, he seems like he would be a really cool,
Yep.
and then you like, maybe you bring in like Thomas Hayden Church and from Sandman.
Like how exactly.
And then it kind of disappeared for a while. And then you had Venom, and then it was almost like, okay, well, you've got to set up Venom to have Tom Hardy into it. Then nothing seemed to happen. And then Sinister Six then came back up with Morbius because we have Morbius, who you're like, okay, he clearly is going to be part of the Sinister Six. And at this point, there's now like 12 people in the Sinister Six. And you bring Michael Keaton into it. And they...
So, because the first mid-credit scene is
Michael Keaton in
he
jail?
randomly pops up in a jail cell.
Yeah,
because when and that's the No Way Home connection of which Spider-Man accidentally collides universes.
So you kind of imagine that this is happening when Venom is,
and so it's a news report that's basically like Adrian Toomes like randomly rocked up in this cell, and we don't know why he's there, and he hasn't committed any crimes, so he's just getting freed.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which would make zero sense.
Yeah, I would be investigating it a little bit more.
You'd be because you're like, all right, well, Adrian Toomes was in a prison and he escaped.
Yeah.
And now he's in another prison, so you would just go...
But it's a different universe, right? So it's like whatever, but...
Yeah, it would still be like, you're in prison for a reason.
But it's the post-credit scene.
Yeah, so
that is the real winner.
That first sequence, you're like, it doesn't mean anything, but it's fine because you're leaning... You're
what a cute little connection.
You're relaying it back to Spider-Man, you're relaying it back to Venom. Cool. Awesome.
Sure.
You obviously got Michael Keaton, buckets of money to film this.
Oh yeah. Because this was very tactile.
Then there's and you know what they even ended up the director who I'm guessing Daniel Espinosa, he obviously was fed up by the point. He was just revealing it.
Yeah, he was just talking about this shit
before the film was released. He was just like, we got Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton's back,
and you're just like, wow, cool. Then we
take power back for himself.
Then we get the post-credit sequence. And this is like, this is arguably one of the dumbest things. Yeah. And I actually don't even think Michael Keaton was in this.
No, he wasn't. No. And because you can tell because the voice recording of Michael Keaton is like, well, he wouldn't need to be there. It's a fully CGI Vulture and Morbius meeting up about wanting to attack a spider. Yeah. The dialogue between both of them is shit.
It's awful.
It's genuinely awful. My thing that I hated the most is that Jared Leto's driving during sunset and his clock reads 2:24 a.m. And then it's pitch black dark. Like it is, again, so that scene with the fucking clothing, it's just shit.
Yeah.
But they meet up and then Vulture's like, I heard there's this Spider-Man in your universe and I fucking hate him from mine, so let's team up and kill him. Yeah. And Morbius is like, sounds fun. Who are you? But yeah, it's like this awful CGI Vulture. The dub that Michael Keaton's done is dreadful. Like you can absolutely tell that he's not
there
anywhere near that.
No.
And again, leads to, at this point in time,
absolutely nothing.
Until this year, we don't know because we're getting 3 Sony Universe.
Yeah, it also
films.
just makes me really sad that Michael Keaton was just like so like I was like this is
he had a rough trot. I was like
he is fucking Batman. He's so fucking good as Batman.
Yeah,
and then I liked him in The Flash.
Yeah,
it sucks that we didn't get to see whatever Batman iteration could have happened in the Aquaman sequel
and Batgirl.
Yeah. And then also the one thing I will forever be fucking pissed off about is that with all of this stuff that DC just decided to completely get rid of, we were going to have like a Batman, I think it was like Batman Beyond. It was going to be some kind of movie with him as an old Batman,
older Bruce Wayne, older Batman,
and Michelle Pfeiffer coming back as Catwoman.
That could have been cool.
And I was like, really? That's what you don't want to give us?
It's not happening anymore.
It's not happening anymore.
That's not happening anymore.
But like, Michael Keaton just got like fucked over by all these comic book movies and it fucking sucks because he's an awesome actor.
I love Michael Keaton, yes.
He is so fucking good.
Yep.
He's great as Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yep.
And then this is not the legacy that he deserved. But also no one remember, like Morbius is never going to be a movie that people are like going to revisit willingly.
I know.
Or you just get really fucking drunk and just watch it.
It's the meme. It's a movie, it's a meme, not a movie.
But then also
but it's not an enjoyable movie.
No, and then you're like, okay, you had the Matt Smith scene. And you have all of the memes, but as a movie itself, it's not
enjoyable.
It's not enjoyable.
It's not one of those ones you can have.
It's not even like there's not even a lot of humor in it.
Sony tried. They released it again on the prediction that like, oh, people will just watch this ironically. And like, everyone's like, no. We'll meme your movie
we
don't know how
we
to
don't-
watch
yeah.
it though.
And I'm
And
like,
I get that because it's
and
not
you
good.
know, like I'll give props to Sony in that their budgets are pretty like
Modest.
moderate.
Yeah, $75 million.
This is $75 million, and that's a pretty good budget.
That's a Hollywood budget.
That's a Hollywood budget. I mean,
not
unfortunately,
Venom.
it didn't. No. Unfortunately, it didn't make it back in America.
167 worldwide.
Which is not like because we keep thinking of Morbius being like this massive bomb,
no,
and like it made $73 million,
just over double its budget. Yeah.
So it almost made its budget back in the US,
Yeah.
and it almost doubled it. It did double it worldwide.
It did double it
a little
worldwide.
over. That's like a relative. Like it's not
Yeah.
the big bomb that everyone like.
I think
remembers this
I
movie
think
as.
it's a bomb in the sense of like because
this was
it had to be delayed so many times.
It was delayed so many
Yeah.
times, which would have added to the cost
would
of
add to the-
everything.
the P&A
and also,
budget,
it was
yeah.
clear that this movie they wanted to set it up for something.
For something else.
And then you get that.
Whether that happens is
I mean,
yet to
a
be seen.
$39 million weekend is more than what I was expecting.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
For a movie like
but
this.
I think there was still at least people were curious.
Oh yeah.
That's the curious crowd coming out.
I mean, yeah, like people still
Let's
go to
not
see.
forget that $73 million and also has that $400,000 it made on it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's I don't know where this is going. I don't see it going very far.
No,
to
we'll
be
never.
honest.
I don't think we'll ever see.
I don't think we'll see Morbius,
if we see Morbius again,
It'll be in
it
a
won't-
team-up movie.
and it won't be played by Jared Leto.
Ooh, interesting.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Interesting.
I reckon this.
Is it?
I think as much as he committed to this and like clearly loved this character, I think, but I also think the original iteration was probably closer to what he wanted.
Probably, yeah. And
So
like you said,
I imagine him being like, no,
Victim of the edit.
I've been attacked enough for this movie. I don't need to do any more.
well, Sony didn't get that message for their whole universe of Marvel characters because we got 3 of them this year, like we said. Madam Web, which was the whole reason for this escapade, Venom 3, and Kraven the Hunter. So we'll see. We'll see.
Out of
what
all
we
of
get.
those 3, are you excited for any of them?
No.
No.
There was an initial Kraven the Hunter excitement, but it was delayed because of the actor
The strike.
strikes
And
last
then
year.
it got like, they really pushed
They
it
put
back.
like literally a whole year. So I'm like, and then the most redeeming quality of that movie is to me is that's directed by JC Chandor, who I think is a brilliant director. But we've also seen brilliant directors go into superhero movies and not make great movies or not have great experiences. So I don't know what to expect.
I really like Aaron Taylor Johnson.
So do I.
And I also, a part of me is like, oh, we're getting like Russell Crowe just continually to be in his like,
Yes, his
like
accent era.
his like unhinged era.
Unhinged, over the top accent.
And like,
eras,
that's
yeah.
not just necessarily a reference to his movie Unhinged.
which is a
Which
great
is a great
fucking movie, by the way.
But like, you're just thinking of like Pope's Exorcist.
oh yes,
But like also his work in like The Mummy.
oh yeah, true, yeah.
Like
forgot he was
I
in
just
The
like
Mummy, yeah.
Russell Crowe just like just leaning into just being absolutely ridiculous. So I'm here for it.
I'm here for it. So we'll see. What about you? What are you most excited for out of the next 3 Sony Universe Marvel character films?
I don't know if I'm excited for Madam Web, but I'm like I'm going into it like hopeful because I really like Dakota Johnson.
Yeah.
And I want it to but a part of me is like I just want it to actually be a massive success just to shut everybody up.
Yeah,
Because
no, I get that.
like the Amazon line is fucking awful.
And
I don't think
I
don't think it'll be in the film,
I don't think
or I
so
think
either.
an iteration of it will be in the film, not said the way in the trailer.
not said so bluntly as,
No.
as it's stated in the trailer.
But I'm in, and then there's like, I mean, I guess for aesthetic reasons, Kraven the Hunter's gonna do me well.
Yeah,
because
fair
like
enough.
I can't deny that's
That
a
jacked Aaron Taylor Johnson on
Yeah.
the poster there. So it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens.
Venom 3. I'm kind of just like
We'll see what happens.
because
If it comes out this year.
I mean, they've dwindled in quality 2.5 to 1.5 for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was initially a 1.5 for Morbius, and I think I'm still a 1.5 at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's not good.
No,
it's not
it's not.
good. But that wraps up our take on the Sony Universe of Marvel characters.
It
Thank
does
you for
indeed.
joining us. Now, let's look ahead. That's in the past.
It's done.
But do you know what else is in the past? Do you know what else can come from the past to perhaps haunt us a little bit?
What a segue.
Ghosts.
Ghosts.
And you know what evil ghosts need to get?
Busted.
Next month for the March episode of the monthly movie marathon, where we marathon movies monthly, coming out end of March is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which is part of the most recent reiteration and reimagining
Of
not even reimagining. It's
kinda-
kind of connected.
It's kind of connected.
They're legacy sequels, I guess.
I
to an
guess so,
extent,
yeah.
of the Ghostbusters franchise. So, with Ghostbusters Frozen Empire coming out, we're going to be going back and we're going to be watching the 2 OG films, Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, who we've both interviewed, by the way.
Yeah.
Fantastic man, Harold Ramis. We'll be watching
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver.
Oh,
We will be watching Ghostbusters, now titled Ghostbusters Answer the
Call,
Call.
which I hate.
I do hate that as well. I think
Hate the title.
Yes.
I mean,
Well, the film, we might have some positive things
I
to
don't
say
hate this
about
film
it.
that scene, but yeah, we're going to watch
That was the Paul Feig, female-centric
Kristen Wiig,
Ghostbusters.
Melissa McCarthy, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones. Also not forgetting
Chris Hemsworth,
but we're also not forgetting Bill Murray,
and
Dan Aykroyd, and Sigourney Weaver,
all in that one.
and Annie Potts, I think.
I think she is in that one. Yes.
So
Yeah.
let's not pretend like they didn't want to be part of this.
one.
Okay, like I get a bit defensive of this because I'm sick of this movie getting shit on.
Yeah.
And then realizing Bill Murray, who you all like worship. I was like, he was in this.
Yes.
So anyway,
We'll talk about it next
we'll talk
month.
about that. And then
of
obviously
course,
Ghostbusters Afterlife.
which is the film preceding Frozen Empire. So we've got 4 movies for next month: Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, Ghostbusters Answer the Call, and Ghostbusters Afterlife to watch before. There's that episode will be coming towards the end of March before its March 28th release date. I'm excited for that episode because I have things to say about Ghostbusters.
I haven't seen Ghostbusters or Ghostbusters 2 in a very long time.
Okay.
And I haven't seen Ghostbusters Afterlife since the cinemas.
Neither have I.
And
But I enjoyed it at the cinemas, so
I liked like 3/4 of it.
I'm excited to break it down.
But it'll be interesting to rewatch the first 2 after so many years and be like,
if we look back to our March 22 and 22 episode with the Batman, and I had some hot takes about what I thought about some of the older Batman films.
You didn't really like the first one.
I think some people are going to be interested to hear what I have to say about the first 2 Ghostbusters films.
There you go.
Anyway, that's for March. As we said at the beginning, there's a lot of cool shit coming up. Make sure, look out if you are in Gold Coast, Brisbane, Southeast Queensland region on this Sunday after the episode is dropped. Come down, have a gaze at ActiveFest and come look at our panels there. Lots of info on our socials. Speaking of socials, Pete, where do people find you on the internet?
People can find me on the internets.
At onlyfans.com/ratedpdg.
Yeah. Don't go to that. Or maybe go to that and see who's
taken the handle.
But yeah, you can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at ratedpdg, and on Instagram at ratedpdg. Rotten Tomatoes, Peter Gray, Gray.
Certified tomato
all
man.
of my reviews are there, and also on the AU review, where all of my interviews and reviews are. And my golly gosh, there's going to be a lot of interviews out there in the world
in the coming weeks. A lot going on.
Probably just the rest of the year, really. I think it's going to be a
big year.
And then speaking of big things, Nick.
What? What the fuck do you mean? I'm on Instagram, Twitter, letterboxed at nicksflicksfix, and then novastreamnetwork.com is where you'll find all my written reviews, written interviews. Go to the NovaStream YouTube page as well. We're trying to really pump that one up at the moment because there's some great videos. A video close to my heart with an interview with CC Stringer, who we love.
Oh yes, I'll have that interview coming up very soon.
Pete also spoke to her, but
we got to fist bump.
I won't steal all the show here, but we had a very touching moment in our interview, a full circle moment, and that's on the video. So go to the NovaStream YouTube as well. But until next time, we have one thing to say to you. Bye!